is Jenny Wilkins, and I'm here representing the Gateway to Global Aging Data, and that's a platform for population survey data on aging around the world hosted out of USC's Center for Economic and Social Research. It's a free public resource designed to facilitate cross-national and longitudinal studies on aging using the family of health and retirement studies around the world. So the health and retirement studies are a group of surveys designed to collect information about aging in a similar way around the world. They are primarily conducted on a biennial basis with respondents approximately 50 years and older. Because the global population as a whole is aging, these studies are an excellent way to look at the effect that different policies have on the aging population. Here I've included the name of the surveys and the year they began conducting interviews. As you can see, the HRS in the United States was the first study, followed by Mexico, England, and a group of 20 or so European countries, plus Israel for SHARE. SHARE has increased the number of participating countries ever since their first wave. Then Costa Rica and South Korea developed their own studies. These were followed by Japan and Indonesia, and SAGE, which is conducted by the WHO and includes China, Ghana, India, Mexico, the Russian Federation, and South Africa. Then Ireland and China started their own studies. More recently, South Africa, Brazil, Scotland, and Northern Ireland began their own versions of the HRS. And finally, LASSI, which is a study in India that our center is helping to develop. So the ELSA sister surveys are incredibly important because of the multidisciplinary subject matter, the steps that have been taken to enhance the quality of economic data, and for the integration of biomarkers into these surveys. So these surveys include not only demographic information like education and age, but also health information, including cognitive questions, physical functioning, and health behaviors. They ask questions about health services, including insurance utilizations and the cost associated with that. There are employment questions, including earnings, retirement, and pension information, as well as economic questions about both income and consumption, as well as wealth measures. There are also questions on family structure, like information about the respondent's parents, the household structure, and family exchanges. Now, because there are so many ELSA sister surveys and content areas, and there's more added all the time, we created the Gateway to Global Aging Data. So let me just take you there. So the Gateway is a centralized resource with the relevant information you need to easily study an ELSA sister study. So the Gateway has an overview of these surveys, including the survey questionnaires and the flowcharts that easily illustrate the skip patterns. And you can search this information by keyword or by topic. We have cross-study concordance tables of specific survey topics and in-depth documentation of cross-study comparability. We also have an interactive graphs and tables function where you can access instant statistics for your variables of interest without having to download any data. We also have a large library of publications based on the HRS family surveys. Perhaps best of all, we also offer harmonized datasets for several of these surveys, and these datasets are what users of the Gateway usually find the most helpful. Harmonized datasets are a user-friendly subset of the original data that includes some of the most frequently used variables. So let me show you our brand new survey page on our website. Click this survey tab. Okay. So here's one of the study overview pages for the core interview. As you can see, we have the information for each study that we harmonize across the top, and we have the years along the vertical axis on the left. So this makes it very easy to see what studies are available and in what years. Each year of a survey is called a wave, so we refer to the waves with W's here. Now, if you click on any of these links, for example, ELSA Wave 1 in 2002, then we can see the survey questionnaire. So the gateway provides detailed information about all the parts of the survey, including the order of the modules and the order of the questions within the modules. So we'll take a look at the health section. So we can view the modules and questions in a list format like this, or we can view it in flowcharts. Now, flowcharts are excellent for showing the location of all the survey questions within the interview, and also for showing how the question was asked and to whom. Now, as a data user, this is helpful when you're figuring out missing values that are resulting from the survey's skip pattern or survey logic. Now, if you click on one of these questions, you can click on the View Item Details. I'm going to just hop over here. And we'll look at HE here, how the respondent rates their hearing. So we can see the information for the individual survey question. This includes the question text and the interviewer prompts. It also has the answer types and choices, as well as the formatting from the original survey. We can also, on this brand new survey page, you can search the surveys and the harmonized data sets by keyword. So for example, we click this Search All Surveys by Keyword, and we'll type in smoking. You can see every variable from the harmonized data sets with the variable name, label, and answer coding. Let me just show you this. So here we have variable name, answer coding, and you can see it for each of the surveys. You can also see all the questions from these surveys that have to do with that keyword. We can also search data by the harmonized data by subtopic. So we can do a search of all the, you can select any of the studies and years that you're interested in, and we can select from any number of over 100 topics. So for example, if we're interested in the harmonized ELSA, you can see that years where no harmonized data is available will automatically be grayed out, so you can't select them. For now, I won't limit the study, but I'll select the year 2014. I'll select the number of children from the Family and Social Network, and I'll also select health limitations from health. And then we click search. So you can see all the harmonized variables that we have related to these. You can also switch through modules with this button here and open up another module. So not only does the gateway have functions to browse the survey and search the survey and data sets, but we also have domain-specific concordance tables on a variety of subjects, which more generally show what variables are available for each survey and provide some of the differences for the variables between surveys. So this makes it very easy to compare measures between multiple waves of a single study, or to compare measures from the same year among multiple studies. So I'll show you what that looks like. We'll click the Concordance tab. So under Family and Social Network, we'll click on the Family Contact table. So this lists some of the most frequently used family contact questions. It shows not only if the question was asked, but also points out differences in how the questions were asked. So if we look at whether children co-reside, then we can see each survey listed asks this question. And if we look whether children live close by, we can see that there's some differences in question wording across surveys. We can also see some differences across waves if we look at any weekly contact for the HRS. So we also have extensive documentation under our Documentation tab. We have domain-specific user guides, which are incredibly detailed and in-depth comparisons of the studies written by a researcher in that particular field. They include every applicable question in every HRS survey and suggest how different researchers deal with differences between surveys. We also provide links to some helpful documents and our most recent instructive webinars. So next, we offer interactive graphs and tables. You can select the countries, years, and topics that you want included. You can even filter the results by age brackets, age ranges, gender, and several other characteristics, and these vary based on whether it's an individual level or household level variable. So these produce weighted population statistics with standard errors, which are corrected for the complex survey designs. You don't need to download any data to use this, and your results are almost instantaneous. So if we go back to the website, can click Graphs and Tables. So what we automatically see here are two graphs for England and the USA for the percentage of people working for pay from 2002 to 2014 by 4 different age groups. And just an initial look will show that there are some different patterns emerging here. But let me show you how to make another graph. We'll click the Make Selections. Under Health, we'll select Ever Had Diabetes. We'll look at the USA, China, England, and Mexico, and we'll look in the year 2012. We're going to limit it to people ages 55 to 74, and we'll also use gender as a subpopulation. And we'll see what we get. So this shows the percentage of people aged 55 to 74 who have ever been diagnosed with diabetes in China, Mexico, England, and the USA in 2012, sorted by gender. At first glance, it looks like the percentage with diabetes is much higher for Mexico and the US than it is for China and England. And let me point out a few things. If you hover over the bar, you can see the population estimate. So about 8.7% of Chinese males are estimated to have been diagnosed with diabetes by 2012. You can also click on a subpopulation to deselect it and click on it again to select it. Or you can click over an area and we can zoom in, for example, to see whether the 95% confidence intervals overlap. And if you click on these 3 horizontal bars on the top right, you can print or download the graph in a variety of formats. We also include any applicable notes about the data right here. So this includes the weights we used. And if you do use any of the graphs or data produced from this tool, we ask that you use this citation provided here. You can also look at the results in a table format by clicking this Table tab. So this includes the estimate, standard error, and population size for each subpopulation. And you can download the table in Excel or PDF formats. You can also look at it on a map. Just as a note, this shows all of the countries that have that data available for that year. You can look at different subpopulations, and you can also zoom in. So pretty cool. So we also offer an easy way to find publications based on the HRS family surveys. You can select from surveys and topics or search by title, author, source, and year. So on the website, you can click on the Publications tab. You can search from, you can select any study you're interested in, for example, Charles. You can also select any topics that you want, like cognition. This will come up. You can click on these little plus signs, and that will have a link to the original article or a link to a Google Scholar page. And you can also download your list of citations. So what's great about this is that it's comparable to using Google Scholar or PubMed, but the advantage is that the paper is linked to the data set used, which is sometimes hard to find without reading through the entire paper. So finally, we offer harmonized data sets for several of the HRS family surveys. So the harmonized data sets contain a subset of the survey, which is most easily comparable between different years and different studies, or the most commonly used variables. These are released as single data sets that include all available waves, where each individual is one record. When we create the variables for these data sets, we define them to be as comparable as possible across surveys. We also follow a standard naming convention, so we have an R or an S to indicate if it's the respondent or the spouse, followed by the wave number and the variable name. So for example, R1 work indicates whether the respondent is working in wave 1, and S2 work indicates whether the spouse is working in wave 2. Now, while ideally all measures are perfectly comparable across surveys, there can be differences in question wording or cultural norms that render the measures similar but not identical. So in this case, we end the variable name with an underscore and the first letter or two of the survey's initials to indicate that it's not quite comparable. So for example, labor force status in Charles has a different response scale than the one used in other surveys. So we call it R1 LBRF_C, which is the respondent's labor force status in wave 1 of Charles. So in order to harmonize these surveys, we often have to take into account several questions because of the survey's skip patterns. For example, in order to know whether the respondent currently smokes, we have to include information about whether the respondent ever smoked and whether they smoke at the present time. So while this is a pretty simple harmonization, they can also get significantly more complex. So here's an example of a complicated harmonized variable. In order to get a value for the amount of household savings in the first wave of J-star, we have to take into account a series of questions from the CAPI and from the self-completion questionnaire. This would normally take a new programmer several weeks of work to construct, and saving is only one component of total household assets. As such, by taking into account the survey's skip patterns, the harmonized data sets we offer can save researchers and programmers months of time. So along with each harmonized data set, we offer an accompanying codebook. And the codebook includes a brief overview of the statistics for each variable, including the variable label. Just to give you an idea, here's an example of our Harmonized ELSA codebook. Lots of documentation here. So here's one page from that codebook. We can see the waves that the variables are available for. And we can also see respondent and spouse level variables. We can also see the categorical variable codes associated with each variable, including special missing values to provide more information about why a value may be missing. The codebook also details exactly how the variable was created and any assumptions we made in the creation of the variable. We also highlight any differences between the waves and any differences between this variable and the RAND HRS, which is a harmonized data set for the US study. Lastly, the codebook lists all of the variables from the originating data set used in the creation of the variable. We do all of this so the researcher can feel totally comfortable using these harmonized data sets and comparing variables between data sets. So here's a list of the currently available harmonized data files. As you can see, we have a harmonized data set for the US called the Harmonized HRS. This data set is unlike our other ones because it's meant to supplement the RAND HRS, which I just briefly mentioned, and it has variables that data set doesn't already have. And it's best used in conjunction with the RAND HRS. But we also have harmonized data sets for Mexico, England, Europe, Costa Rica, South Korea, Japan, Ireland, China, and for the pilot wave of the study in India. And we're adding additional waves and studies as they're released. We'll be finishing up the addition of the Wave 8 ELSA variable shortly, and then we'll be getting it available online through the UK Data Archive. So these harmonized data sets are either distributed directly through the gateway or by the original study, or in this case, the UK Data Archive. So as you can see here, the top row provides links to the original study websites where you can download the original survey data. The second row provides links to download the harmonized data sets. In the cases of share and CLOSA, the data files are created by users based on a data code provided by the gateway. So once you've registered with the original study and downloaded the raw data files, you can run the creation program to end up with a harmonized data set of your own. We provide codebooks and the data creation program for each harmonized data set in the third and fourth rows respectively. And the data sets can be converted into another format using a program like Stat Transfer. So the best part is this wealth of information is available entirely for free. You can access anything on our website, and if you want to download anything, all you have to do is register. So to do that, you just click this Please Register link in the top right. It's very quick and easy. All you need to do is enter your information and confirm your email. I'm going to log in real quick to show you the next cool feature on our website. Sorry, where's the @ on this keyboard? Oh, I found it. Okay, sorry. If you go to our downloads page, you can register for multiple studies using our universal access to study data by clicking here. So we've made it really easy for you to register with multiple ELSA sister studies at once. We have this available for the HRS and the studies from Mexico, Europe, Costa Rica, South Korea, Japan, Ireland, and China. You can select the studies you want to register for and fill in the necessary information. For some studies, you'll be instantly registered. For others, this page may produce a PDF that's emailed to you, so you have to sign and just email it back to the study. But you'll only have to enter your information once, and it makes the process of registering for multiple studies much easier. And once you've gotten started with the gateway and find you have a question, we also offer a help page. Here you can find a list of frequently asked questions and instructions for common tasks. And if you can't find what you're looking for there, you can email our help desk, and we try to get back to you within 24 hours. So thank you so much for listening. Please visit our website at g2aging.org, and we hope that the Gateway to Global Aging Data can be a helpful resource for you.